Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Yul Brynner, born Yuliy Borisovich Briner, July 11, 1920 to October 10, 1985, was a Russian-born actor whose commanding presence, shaven head, and deep voice made him one of Hollywood and Broadway's most distinctive stars. Best known for his iconic role as King Mongkut of Siam in The King and I, Brynner's career spanned film, theater, and television, earning him lasting fame as one of the 20th century's great performers. Early life and origins. Yul Brynner was born in Vladivostok, Russia, to Boris Bryner, a Swiss-Mongolian mining engineer, and Marousia Blagovidova, a Russian. His early life was marked by upheaval. His father abandoned the family, and his mother fled with Yul and his sister to China during the turmoil of the Russian Civil War. Later, they settled in France, where Brynner attended school and developed an interest in music and performance. Before becoming an actor, he worked as a trapeze artist in a French circus and played guitar in Paris nightclubs. His multicultural background, Russian, Mongolian, Swiss, and partial Buryat ancestry, would later lend him a magnetic, exotic aura that became central to his screen persona. Rise to stardom. Brynner emigrated to the United States in the early 1940s, speaking little English at first. He worked as a radio announcer for the Voice of America before finding his way onto the New York stage. His breakthrough came in 1951, when he was cast as King Mongkut in Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I on Broadway, opposite Gertrude Lawrence. His authoritative performance, marked by charisma, humor, and intensity, earned him a Tony Award and immortalized his image, particularly after he shaved his head for the role, a look that became his lifelong trademark. The film adaptation of The King and I, 1956, brought Brynner an Academy Award for Best Actor. His portrayal of the proud yet enlightened king became one of the most recognizable performances in film history, cementing his reputation as a commanding screen presence. Hollywood career. Following his success in The King and I, Brynner became a major Hollywood star during the 1950s and 1960s. He appeared in a series of iconic roles, including Pharaoh Ramesses II in The Ten Commandments, 1956, opposite Charlton Heston; Chris Adams, the stoic gunslinger in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, a role that brought him enduring popularity; Taras Bulba, 1962, Anastasia, 1956, Solomon and Sheba, 1959, and The Brothers Karamazov, 1958, showcasing his versatility across historical, romantic, and dramatic genres. He was known for his intensity, elegance, and control. Actors who worked with him often noted his regal demeanor both on and off screen. Stage and later work. Brynner continued to perform The King and I throughout his life, appearing in more than 4,600 performances. His dedication to the role became almost mythic. Even in his later years, he approached it with a sense of ritual and precision. In 1972, he returned to Broadway for a major revival, which culminated in a Tony Award-winning farewell tour in the early 1980s. In addition to his film and stage work, Brynner explored directing and photography. His book Bring Forth the Children, 1960, a photographic essay, reflected his deep interest in humanism and his concern for global issues. Personal life. Yul Brynner's personal life was as colorful as his screen image. He married 4 times and had 5 children, including his daughter Victoria Brynner, who became a photographer. Known for his sophistication and enigmatic charm, he was fluent in multiple languages and maintained a strong connection to his Russian and European roots. In the 1970s, Brynner was diagnosed with lung cancer, likely due to decades of heavy smoking. He became an outspoken anti-smoking advocate after his diagnosis, recording a public message before his death that was aired posthumously. "Now that I'm gone, don't smoke. Whatever you do, just don't smoke." He died on October 10, 1985, in New York City, at age 65, just months after completing his final performance in The King and I. Legacy. Yul Brynner remains an enduring figure in popular culture, a symbol of elegance, strength, and individuality. His shaved head, once considered shocking, became a signature of confidence and style, influencing generations of actors. His performances in The King and I, The Ten Commandments, and The Magnificent Seven continue to define an era of golden Hollywood grandeur, and his unique multicultural background helped expand the possibilities for non-traditional casting in Western cinema. He was posthumously awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and his legacy continues to inspire actors who seek to bring grace, intensity, and authenticity to their craft. Philosophy, influence, and cultural impact. Yul Brynner was more than an actor. He was a performer who understood the symbolic power of presence. His philosophy of life and art revolved around discipline, mystique, and self-mastery. Brynner approached acting as both a craft and a calling, treating every performance as an act of transformation. His regal bearing, precise diction, and sense of ceremony turned even his simplest gestures into something theatrical and meaningful. A man of many worlds, Brynner's identity was shaped by a rare blend of cultures: Russian, Swiss, Mongolian, and French. He often said he felt like a citizen of the world. This cosmopolitan identity gave him a chameleon-like ability to inhabit roles that crossed cultural and historical boundaries. Whether portraying an Egyptian pharaoh, a Siamese king, or a gunslinger of the American West, he radiated an authenticity that came from within, not from imitation, but from empathy and imagination. His look was equally transcendent. When Brynner shaved his head for The King and I, it was meant to help him better embody King Mongkut. But audiences were so captivated by his bold appearance that he decided to keep it for life. The shaved head became a symbol of individuality, confidence, and defiance, decades before it became fashionable. Brynner's image inspired later generations of bald leading men, including actors like Telly Savalas, Patrick Stewart, and Dwayne Johnson, who all owe a degree of stylistic debt to his unapologetic presentation. Discipline and perfectionism. Colleagues often described Brynner as meticulous, even authoritarian, in his approach to work. On stage, he demanded absolute precision from his co-stars. Offstage, he carried himself with an almost royal composure, never casual, always deliberate. He was deeply philosophical about performance, once saying, "When I play the king, I am the king. Everything I do is for the king." This commitment to transformation made him one of the most consistent performers of his time. Even after thousands of performances of The King and I, Brynner would rehearse carefully before each show. He viewed repetition not as monotony, but as a form of meditation, a pathway to mastery. Cultural bridge. Brynner's rise to fame during the 1950s, an era dominated by all-American icons like John Wayne and James Dean, was groundbreaking. His foreign accent, ambiguous ethnicity, and unconventional appearance challenged Hollywood norms and opened doors for more diverse representation. He was one of the few actors of his generation who could portray characters from multiple continents without caricature. In The King and I, he brought humanity and humor to a role that could easily have been exoticized. His portrayal of King Mongkut became a cultural milestone, a complex, intelligent, and modern man negotiating between tradition and progress. This performance also had diplomatic significance. In the wake of World War II and early Cold War tensions, Brynner's king symbolized a bridge between East and West, power and humility, authority and compassion. Humanitarian and intellectual pursuits beyond acting, Brynner was a thinker and global citizen. He was a skilled photographer whose work captured the beauty of children and families around the world. His photo book Bring Forth the Children, with photographer Ing Morath, was dedicated to UNICEF and reflected his commitment to social causes. He also published a semi-autobiographical work, Yul, The Man Who Would Be King, which offered reflections on his life, his travels, and his spiritual philosophy. Fluent in several languages, including Russian, French, and English, Brynner moved easily through artistic and intellectual circles. He was a friend to writers, musicians, and politicians, including Dali, Picasso, and President Kennedy. His international life embodied the post-war ideal of the cultured global artist. Final years and last message in his final years, even as cancer weakened him. Yul Brynner continued performing The King and I with unshakable dignity. Audiences often remarked on his radiance. His energy seemed to grow stronger as his body failed. When he took his last bow in 1985, it was met with a 10-minute standing ovation. Shortly before his death, he recorded a public service announcement for the American Cancer Society that aired after he passed. In it, he said quietly but powerfully, "Now that I'm gone, I tell you, don't smoke. Whatever you do, just don't smoke." That message, combined with his immense fame, became one of the most memorable anti-smoking appeals ever broadcast, a final act of public courage from a man known for his strength and integrity. Enduring legacy. Yul Brynner remains an icon of stage and screen, a figure who transcended nationality, language, and convention. His legacy lives on in every bald, commanding hero who followed him. In every performance that strives for both majesty and vulnerability. His work reshaped what it meant to be a leading man, not merely handsome or heroic but mythic. From the grand courts of Siam to the dusty towns of the American West, Yul Brynner left behind not just performances, but a philosophy of life, that true power lies in presence, conviction, and the courage to be utterly oneself. Filmography highlights and key performances. Yul Brynner's film career, though not vast in number, was remarkable in impact. He had a rare ability to turn every appearance into an event. His characters radiated a magnetic authority that commanded attention. Whether portraying kings, warriors, or outlaws, Brynner transformed each role into a study of power, charisma, and self-control. Below are his most defining works, along with insights into what made each performance unforgettable. 1. The King and I, 1956, perhaps the definitive Yul Brynner performance. The King and I immortalized him as King Mongkut of Siam, a role he first played on Broadway in 1951. The film adaptation, opposite Deborah Kerr, showcased his full range, regal yet tender, proud yet inquisitive. Brynner's performance was a study in controlled emotion. His physicality, the erect posture, deliberate movements, and piercing gaze, conveyed a monarch's strength. Yet his vulnerability and curiosity toward Anna, Kerr, gave the role emotional depth. His line, "So it shall be written, so it shall be done," became synonymous with his commanding on-screen persona. The role earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor, and his name became forever linked to the King. It was not just a performance but an embodiment, one he would revisit over 4,600 times on stage during his lifetime. 2. The Ten Commandments, 1956, in Cecil B. DeMille's biblical epic, Brynner portrayed Pharaoh Ramesses II, the proud and unyielding ruler opposite Charlton Heston's Moses. With his sculpted physique and piercing stare, Brynner exuded a sense of divine entitlement. What made his Ramesses memorable was the balance of arrogance and tragedy, a man convinced of his immortality, undone by his own pride. Bryner's performance elevated the film beyond spectacle. He gave Ramesses a human dimension that rivaled Heston's moral authority. The visual contrast between Heston's rugged prophet and Bryner's immaculate pharaoh, both titans of will, remains one of Hollywood's most iconic duels of character and ideology. 3. Anastasia, 1956, opposite Ingrid Bergman, Brynner played General Bonine, a complex character, part manipulator, part protector. Set in post-revolutionary Europe, the film follows Bonine's attempt to pass off an amnesiac woman as the lost Russian princess Anastasia. Brynner brought a subtle charm and world-weariness to the role, oscillating between cynicism and longing. His chemistry with Bergman was electric, two European-born stars, both exiles of a kind, performing with emotional precision. The film's success helped re-establish Bergman's Hollywood career and confirmed Brynner as a leading man of depth and intelligence. 4. The Brothers Karamazov, 1958. In this adaptation of Dostoevsky's classic, Brynner starred as Dmitry Karamazov, the passionate and tormented eldest son. This was one of Brynner's most emotionally demanding roles, delving into themes of guilt, faith, and redemption. He infused the part with fiery energy and moral intensity. Capturing Dostoevsky's tortured spirit, his portrayal demonstrated that he was not only a visual icon but also a dramatic actor capable of psychological depth. It remains one of his most underrated performances. 5. Solomon and Sheba, 1959, paired with Gina Lollobrigida, Brynner's King Solomon was a figure of wisdom, sensuality, and inner conflict. The film was a lavish biblical production, and though it received mixed reviews, Brynner's screen presence was undeniable. Interestingly, he took over the role after Tyrone Power's sudden death during filming, a challenge that he handled with characteristic professionalism. His chemistry with Lollobrigida and his stately demeanor gave the film its pulse. 6. The Magnificent Seven, 1960, one of Brynner's most enduring performances. The Magnificent Seven reimagined Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai in a Western setting. As Chris Adams, the black-clad gunslinger and leader of the Seven Mercenaries, Brynner radiated quiet command. His stoicism, moral clarity, and sense of honor made Chris a cinematic archetype, the noble outsider who fights not for money, but for justice. His influence extended to later Western heroes. From Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name to Denzel Washington's reinterpretation of the same role in the 2016 remake. Brynner's on-screen chemistry with Steve McQueen was legendary, and famously tense behind the scenes. McQueen tried to upstage him with small gestures, but Brynner's poise and precision made him the natural center of gravity. 7. Westworld, 1973. In a late-career triumph, Brynner played the gunslinger, a robotic cowboy in Michael Crichton's sci-fi thriller. His performance, minimalist, mechanical, and terrifyingly calm, prefigured the modern cinematic android. With his bald head, black outfit, and unblinking stare, Brynner turned the gunslinger into a precursor of the Terminator. His eerie, wordless menace proved that his charisma transcended dialogue. The film became a cult classic and inspired the 21st Century Westworld series. Other notable works: Morituri, 1965, a World War II thriller alongside Marlon Brando. Invitation to a Gunfighter, 1964, a moral western exploring racial and political tensions. The Journey, 1959, reuniting with Deborah Kerr in a Cold War drama. The Sound and the Fury, 1959, a challenging adaptation of William Faulkner's novel. Each of these films reflected Brynner's ongoing fascination with power, morality, and identity, themes that defined his career. An actor of style and symbolism, Yul Brynner's performances were never casual. Every gesture, every movement was choreographed with purpose. He once said that he thought of acting as a dance of emotion, and that philosophy showed in his poise. His stillness could speak louder than any line. His shaved head, sculpted frame, and deep, resonant voice gave him a timeless quality. Even when portraying villains or flawed men, Brynner's dignity remained intact. He embodied not just characters, but ideas, kingship, control, courage, and the cost of pride. Conclusion. The man behind the legend Yul Brynner's body of work remains a testament to artistic rigor and individuality. He defied Hollywood's expectations, carved out a space for himself in an industry that often sought to categorize, and became a universal icon, a figure of power and poise whose appeal crossed boundaries of culture and time. From the gilded halls of Siam to the dusty plains of the Old West, Brynner's image endures. The bald head gleaming under stage lights, the eyes steady and hypnotic, the presence unforgettable. He did not just act, he commanded. And in doing so, he redefined what it meant to be a star. Off-screen persona, relationships, and lasting influence. Yul Brynner was every bit as compelling off-screen as he was on stage or film. Beneath the polished charisma and regal exterior lay a man of contradictions, cosmopolitan yet private, disciplined yet restless, enigmatic yet deeply human. His life outside of acting revealed a restless intellect, a romantic heart, and a profound sense of identity shaped by exile and reinvention. The enigma behind the persona. Brynner carefully cultivated his mystique. He was known to tell colorful, sometimes contradictory, stories about his origins, adding to his air of mystery. At times he claimed partial Mongolian or Romani heritage. Other times he spoke of Swiss or Buryat ancestry. This deliberate ambiguity fascinated journalists and audiences alike, making him one of Hollywood's most exotic figures in an age that prized the mysterious and the glamorous. He once remarked, "I don't lie, I create a myth. And the myth is better than the truth." That self-awareness, the understanding that identity could be crafted, was central to his public persona. He turned his life into performance art, inhabiting the role of Yul Brynner with the same commitment he gave to his characters. A man of culture and intellect outside the spotlight, Brynner was an avid reader and thinker. He was fluent in Russian, French, and English, and conversed easily about literature, politics, philosophy, and art. He was friends with many creative figures of his time, including Pablo Picasso, Jean Cocteau, and Noël Coward, and was at home in the salons of Paris as easily as in the studios of Hollywood. Brynner was also a gifted photographer.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.